Okay, we are live.
Okay, hello everyone, how are you? So today's talk it's about sprint retrospectives, uh, and we are going to start with the basics, some theory about what it is, when we should do it, who, why, and how, and some sample exercises at the end that you could use when you do your own retrospectives. So let's get started with the what. What's a retrospective? It's a meeting where the team reviews how they worked in the previous sprint. And it's focused on the how and not on the what, which is another of the Scrum ceremonies that is the sprint review. Here we don't check the product or the what we have delivered, but we focus on the process. So what we want to do here is to come out with a plan for improvements, and those improvements should be implemented or at least the first stage in the next sprint, and we're going to talk about that in a little while. When should this be done? Of course, at the end of the sprint. That's not a surprise for anyone, I guess. And also, this is a great tool for continuous improvement. So you could do this at any point in any project or in any team. The team doesn't have to be working agile. It doesn't have to be a software development project. And maybe it doesn't have to be a project also. For example, I have done retrospectives in companies for all the company's leaders, and I'm talking about IT, sales, customer support, marketing. We were all together, and we had to align ourselves and come out with a plan to work for the next few weeks, and it really helped. So it's not only for agile teams or software development. That's the whole idea of this. So who should be present? The project team and the Scrum Master always. And please note that the team in these meetings doesn't have roles. So we are all peers, and everyone's opinion it's the same. And if necessary, we could also invite the product owner and some other stakeholders of the project, depending on what we want to discuss. There are times, and let me go a little forward, that could be necessary. So why we do retrospectives? Well, here is a quote from the Agile Manifesto that I'm sure everyone here cites every night before going to bed. And what it says is that the team should meet regularly to adjust its behavior and try to be more effective. What does this mean? Basically, we want to get better, and we want to deliver more value to our customers. We want to stop doing things that don't give us any value, so that's the waste. And if necessary, address specific problems. And that's why in the previous slide, I mentioned that we could add the product owner or some of the stakeholders. There are sprints that something happened that needs to be addressed. And maybe to work on that problem, we need more people than the team itself. So it's the job of the Scrum Master to realize that and to call all those other people to the meeting, so we can address issues effectively. Okay. And all this has like a bonus, which is team building. It is great to know each other and to create like a better working environment. And how we should do this? So the short version in a retro, we should answer these three questions. What went well? What could be improved? And what are we going to do in this next sprint to improve what we want to improve, basically? These are the basic questions. Usually, you use whiteboards or flipboards, and people paste post-its for in these categories, and we decide about the problems that we want to solve, how we're going to do it in the next sprint, and get some actions, and that's it. Okay. But this could be a little more complicated and much more fun. So we're going to discuss how to do that in a little while. So you are the Scrum Master and you have to do a retro. What should you do? Basically, everyone should participate. That's your job. Give everyone the space to talk, and they should feel like safe to speak their mind, and everyone should know that there won't be any consequences of telling their truth there. And that's the whole idea of the retro. Understand everyone's viewpoint, okay? And also, if possible, the Scrum Master should be serving the team instead of leading it based on his opinions. Sometimes when the Scrum Master is also a team member that's actually working, that's a little bit hard, but we should try to abstract ourselves from the daily work and try to be as impartial as possible here. So that's like the theory of the retro. Any questions so far? I guess no.
Oh, very clear right now.
Okay. So, parts of the retro. In theory, if you're doing sprints that last for 4 weeks, a retro should last about 3 hours and have all these 5 sections. For those of you that have been doing retros with me, you know we've done them in an hour or a little bit more of an hour, and we didn't cover all these areas as separately, and that's okay because we are doing shorter sprints and we don't need to invest 3 hours every 2 weeks for this. Okay. But here we're going to cover the full version, so you know the whole stuff, and you can decide what to take, how to adapt it, and what to use in your own teams. So there are 5 parts. The first one is set the stage, gather data, generate insight, decide what to do, and close the retro. And here there is a link to a very useful page which helps you to define like every dynamic that you're going to use for every stage, and to have like a blueprint for your retro that you can follow afterwards, which is a retromat. So the first part is set the stage. What you want to do here basically is to get everyone on board and participating. So what you want to do is to sense the mood of the team. It's great to see if people are willing to participate. If anyone is tired and maybe doesn't want to get involved or whatever, here is what you're going to know that, and here is when you could do something to get everyone participating. So there are a few dynamics. Most of them are questions here that people should answer, and I have some example of those. And depending on your team, the retro, the environment, how the project is going, you could decide what to do. For example, there are a few that are what emoji best describe your mood. And if you are doing it with all the team in the same room, you could add some variations like draw it on a fruit, which may sound stupid here, but if you are doing it, it's like a good icebreaker, because that's what we want to do. And with that, you also get the sense of the mood of everyone, and you know if you need to go faster or maybe stop and let everyone talk a little more to speak their mind and maybe start talking freely. Some other examples describe the previous sprint in a tweet. If the project was a car, what make could it be? I used that, I guess, with the CRM team. Or no, that, I guess with commerce, what doesn't matter. What do that? It's an example of a question that aims to a specific stuff like, how do you see the project? What are we doing? But if asking people to compare that with a car make, like this project is a Ford or this project is a Ferrari, it's good as a metaphor to understand some underlying concepts and what the team thinks of the project. If you as the project manager, product owner, or Scrum Master think you are building a Ferrari, and most of the people start saying things like, this is a Fiat, Ford, or Chevrolet, you might have a problem. So you are not directly asking that, but it can give you an idea of a misalignment of conceptions. Some other, well, there are other questions like that as metaphors. If this was a football team, which position would you be playing? So people can tell you how they feel in the team as their role. If anyone says, I'm the goalkeeper, okay, maybe you are giving that person too many hot stuff to fix immediately, for example. Some other question is, what do you expect to happen in this meeting? I usually do that in the first retros for the team to understanding if people know what we are doing. How did the person to your right, for example, feel during this part iteration? That's to build empathy, for example. Try to place yourself in some other teammates' shoes and know and think about the previous sprint and how you saw him working, how do you think he's feeling and why? What do you admire the most to, of course, people to your right? That's a good exercise for when the team has some frictions and you want to get them aligned and working together and trying to make them see that not everything is wrong. You could use something like that. One important point here, if you're the Scrum Master, is that you shouldn't evaluate the answers. Maybe answering something like, okay, thank you, it's fine, but not an answer that it's like a judgment of what he said, like that's okay or that's great or something like that, because it could feel that you are evaluating answers. So, second part of the retro is gather information. Here it's where you're going to start getting data from the team about what's going on and what they really want to talk about, okay? The idea of doing this kind of dynamics is because everyone sees the same thing differently, and as Nietzsche said, there are no facts, only interpretations, okay? So what I think is a fact, maybe some other team member think it's not, and he sees it differently. So what we try to do here is to get a view of those interpretations. So there are quite a few examples of dynamics that you could use. For example, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's like in the movie, it's the movie title, but what you're going to do here is you're going to put like 5 areas in a whiteboard or in a virtual board if you're working remotely. And there, people of the team are going to paste post-its of what they think was good, bad, or non-optimal in the previous sprint. And with that, you can get an idea of what could be, what you need to keep, things that were good, what went bad, and there you have the problems that you should discuss later, and not optimal, also things that are not quite great and you should improve, and also that's a source of problems in to talk later. The other is hit the headlines, which sprint events were newsworthy, and this is like a general purpose dynamic, and from there you can get topics that people want to discuss, and maybe this is a good one as a complement of some other of these ones. If you're working remotely and not talking every day with the team, or not having like the office conversation, which you understand what's going on for everyone. So maybe this is a good one as a starter for this part of the retro, followed by one of the others. Another one is I like, I wish. Also 2 columns. You put post-its there, and you give positive and constructive feedback of things that you would like to happen. And it's the same here. You say what's good and what you could improve in for the next sprint. Lean Coffee, we used this one yesterday with the commerce team. It's another general purpose exercise where the team is the one that suggests the topics to discuss. Basically, you ask people to list things you would like to discuss, and then you vote what to do and which topics to discuss later in the next part of the retro. Lines of communication. This one is This one is good for when you see that the communication in the team is not optimal. So you could use this one to force that discussion. And what you do here is you ask team members to draw in a whiteboard. Of course, you need to be all present in the same room for this one. How they think the information flows between each other, the client, the project managers, and any other stakeholders that is involved in the communications. And this will show you bottlenecks, unnecessary communication flows, redundant information, where information gets lost. And this is a great dynamic for that. Genie in a bottle, we used that with CRM a few weeks ago. Basically, you ask people to state a wish for themselves, for the team, and for the client, things that they would like to happen. This is also a great source of information to detect what makes people unhappy or what annoys them and what they want to change. And it's a great way to find stuff to discuss and problems to solve later. And here there are two other dynamics that are great for to analyze the status of the project as a whole. I like these ones at the beginning of the project, or maybe somewhere in the middle, or if the project has changed team members and you need to realign everyone. These two dynamics are great for that. The sailboat, you ask people to paste post-its, or if you're using a virtual board, to paste cards in all the areas here. And for example, you have the goal represented by the island. It is where we are going, and based on what people paste there, you know if the team is aligned, if we all know what we are going, what we are doing here, what we want to achieve. That basically is should converge to be the project objective, but sometimes people don't know what to write there, and this is a good way to find out and to be able to take action, to correct and to realign. The wind is what is helping us to get to the goal. Things that are working and are helping the team, and it's what help us get our job done. The anchor is what drags us behind. What problems we have? What are we doing that we shouldn't be doing anymore? What issues we have with our clients? What we are missing? What we like to happen to be better? Okay, so basically that represents the problems and issues that we have. And these rocks in the bottom are the risks. So we are going forward, and there are things that we are not seeing that might harm you in the future. So that's why that's a great opportunity for team members to identify risks or other protection problems that we may have in the future. And that's another source of topics to discuss and to solve in the future. So I like this one as a general purpose because it gives you like a whole vision of the project and things that we should discuss later. The next one, it is you may find it like a stop, less, keep, more, and start, or maybe as a starfish because of the shape of this image. Basically, here the team says what things we should stop doing, what things we should do less because they provide some value, but not as much as it should, and it takes too much time. What things we should keep doing? Okay, we're doing this great. Let's go this way. What things we should do more? We do some stuff that helps, but not as much as we need. I know, for example, what things that usually appear here are daily meetings, etc., that people think are helpful, but you do it every day, for example. And finally, things that we should start doing. Basically, things that the team thinks will help in the daily work, but we are not doing them now. And of course, this provides a great vision of the project, but based mostly on the team's perception of the work. Okay, it's slightly different from the other in that way. So the next part of the retro is generate insights. We recovered a lot of information in the previous step, and we should analyze that and see what we can do with that and what that information is telling us. So maybe we should find the root cause of the problems. Maybe we should detect patterns, understand if all the team is thinking the same, or maybe we should align ourselves. So for this part, there are also several kinds of dynamics that you can use. For example, the 5 whys technique. This is a technique to find the root cause of a problem. And basically what you have to do is to ask why that is happening several times. And usually the fifth answer is the root cause of the problem, and that's the issue you should address to solve the first issue you found. Another one for root cause analysis is the cause effect diagram, which is the Ishikawa or fishbone diagram in the books. Here you have like a problem which is the effect of several other problems, and what you do here is your main problem, it's like an horizontal line in the chart, and you keep adding lines that intersect that one as if they were the fish bones for the column, and all those lines represent a cause for that effect. So with this, you could understand why things are happening, and all those spines that you draw are the issues you should attack. So those two are great for when you have a big issue you should discuss. But maybe you don't have like a big problem and you just have to adjust some minor stuff. You could use some of the other the next three dynamics, which are perfection game. Basically, there every team member says what should happen in the next sprint to be perfect, and maybe from there you could take any actions. Which granted, this is like a game with related to the previous one. So if things went great, how do you know they went great? What are the effects of everything having been excellent in the sprint? The election manifesto, it's like you are going to an election and the team has to divide in like parties, and every party should prepare like all the proposal list for the elections, like a manifesto, and for what they believe would be the ideal way to work in the next sprint, and then the whole team votes for the best manifesto, and from there you could get actions to implement. And the next one, it's more based on empathy between the team members and the team with their leader, for example. And you ask every team member to say what they imagine that their boss would think if he had been watching the sprint undercover. This one is really good to understand how the team sees his leader, and how the team thinks his leader view them. And of course, to use this one, the team leader should be somewhere that it takes feedback well, and it's mature enough to accept all those feedback. And maybe it's better for teams that have been working together for a long time and there is a lot of confidence. So you have found your problems, you have found the root cause, or maybe some things you want to change. Now we have to decide what to do. And one important part of this is that the actions that we take should be implemented in the next sprint. And of course, we're going to come out with things that are bigger than that. But if you do, what you should do is split them. So if you find something that would take like 2 months to change completely, okay, what's the first step? So take that first step and do it in this sprint that's starting now. And to do this, there are several tools you could use. For example, the first one is circle of questions. You basically ask everyone what would you do with this? And try to get consensus from that. Open list items, basically everyone proposes solutions to a certain problem, and all the teams vote those actions, and the most voted is the one to get implemented. Merge, which basically it's grab some of the initiatives and pick two by voting, and those are the ones you do in the next sprint. Keep, drop, add. This is for behaviors mostly. So if there are behaviors that we want to change or to keep, here is what we are going to do. This is, for example, like if in a previous section you identify that you want to do more daily meetings, okay, here you vote to do more daily meetings or not, because maybe that was the impression of someone and not everyone is in agreement. Another tool could be the low-hanging fruit. Basically, here you identify quick wins, things that are really easy to do and that could provide a lot of value to the team. And those are like the things to start doing right now. If you have like a lot of actions or lots of things the team believes could be done or are needed, and of course you can't do them all, you could use the divide the dollar exercise. Basically, everyone has like $1 and they vote in cents for initiatives. So if you really believe you have one of the actions that they want to do, you vote the whole dollar to that action, or maybe you could split it in several actions, but then you add how much an action is worth, and the first 2 or 3 are the ones to implement it. And the last one here is the impediments cap. Basically, what you do here is make every problem you found or every issue you want to discuss or every action you want to take, you make them compete, like in playoffs, the second part of the World Cup, for example. And you eliminate most of them by having to choose between only 2. So if you get 8, you divide it in pairs, and they compete one against the other until you only have 1 or maybe 2 in the final, and those are the ones you attack. And finally, when you have found the problems, discussed the causes of those problems, you have decided what actions to take, you are okay to close the retro. And for that, there are some important parts that you need to do. The first one here is the last one in the list, but you're going to discuss how we are going to do the follow-up of the actions that we decided that we're going to take. Basically, who will be responsible, how we are going to do it, how we're going to review it, and all those follow-up actions are a great point to start your next retro, reviewing how you did, if actions were important enough to do that. And finally, you ask the team for feedback on the retro itself, basically what they think about this meeting that is ending, how you think that could improve for the next one, and like you let everyone speak their mind for the last time in this meeting, and to improve the next one. Basically, we are doing this to improve as a team, so we are doing this for the retro itself to improve the next one and be so we can get the most value for us. And that's it. So, questions?
Thank you, Pablo. I have one question. Like, I know you like we're doing this like every 2 weeks on commerce,
Yeah.
and one of the things I was thinking the other day, like at least on the first two, we are seeing like a ton of value from the team and everything. Like in your experience, like how easy is to keep it going for like the whole time? Like
Maybe you have to do shorter ones. Maybe you have to do it every other sprint and make it last a little longer. Maybe with the time when the dynamic starts working, you could expedite stuff like by voting issues to work on previously before the meeting and skip one or two of the parts. What I'm doing in those retros, it's like unifying the three sections in the middle that gather information, generate insights, and take actions. I'm not distinguishing between them to make them shorter because I know it's a lot of work and a lot of effort to keep the full retro for the whole team every other week, like for 2 or 3 hours.
Mm.
So that's what I'm doing. Also, you could try changing the dynamics that you use to attack different aspects of the team. Maybe you could start with the most general purpose exercises, and then with the time you start focusing on things that will help team relations and that kind of stuff, communication.
okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
I think
Yeah.
that Pedro has a question.
Yeah, I have a question regarding once you finish the sprint, you have several things that you can improve in the next one. So probably, what do you think about just to make a vote about that? Because you cannot do everything in the next sprint.
No, of course not. And basically, you should vote. And let me go back a little here. There are some things you could do to, not you alone, but the team can do to decide what to do. And for example, open list items. If you have a list of actions that could be done, you could have the team voting the top 3, for example, and everyone gets 3 votes, and they vote the 3 initiatives, and the 3 with the most votes are the ones that get implemented, for example.
Yeah.
But it's that should be as democratic as possible for the team, unless it is something like it's okay. I've been talking to the client that if we don't do this, we are done. But if possible, it should be as democratic as possible.
Hey, Pablo, I have a question.
Yeah.
So my question is about your experience, maybe, or what you think about teams that are starting doing retros and working this way. How long you think it takes to get the team engaged in this new task or this new thing to do? And I mean, how do you deal with resistance from the teams? Or maybe it's not resistant, but sometimes it's, I mean, some people is shy or they don't want to participate because they don't want to be exposed or whatever. I mean, what is your experience and what do you think are the best ways to deal with this?
It depends. It depends a lot on the team and on if you are all working remotely or you do the retro, for example, all in the same room. To help with that, it's why the retros usually start with the game, which is some kind of ridiculous, like drawing the emoji that describes your emotions in in an orange. Yeah, it's fun. It's kind of stupid, but everyone maybe could have a little fun in doing that, and those kind of things are good icebreakers. If the team doesn't want to do retros or discuss this kind of stuff, maybe what I would do is, okay, so let's understand why you don't want to do this. Okay, why you think this doesn't give us any value? Do you think we are doing everything great? Do you think there is nothing to improve? I would do something like that. This is not going to work unless the team understands and believes in the value that this can give them. So I would, if they don't want to participate, well, that's the main problem we should discuss now, and I would understand why is that. Maybe some people perceive this like a waste of time or whatever, but okay, is that your problem? Let's give it a try. A couple of weeks, let's see what happens. Let's get some actions. So if we do this and maybe if you propose an action, we implement it and we get a little better, that's valuable. So I would start like that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I mean, our experience doing retros in CRM was, I mean, the results were almost immediate. We start like proposing things and it worked. But normally, how long you think it could take to start seeing results or start like having better retros or improving the team participation and the collaboration between teammates?
Okay, seeing results should be immediate, because that's the idea. That it's define actions that we could start doing tomorrow. So we should see effects immediately, and seeing changes in the team, maybe it could take a little longer until they get on board and they understand that this is helping. But maybe if you don't see that, you should start working on the internal team's dynamic, because probably something about the communication between the team members or there is some cause of why some of them are reluctant to participate, and we should address those issues.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Paulo.
I think we have a question from Pedro.
Yes, I was wondering. I mean, I thought I had the grasp of the full talk, but I want to ask. Sorry for making you back on the presentation, but could you repeat about what link coffee meant in gather information?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question. It was like back noise.
Sorry. I was asking that if you could repeat about what meant link coffee at the.
Link coffee. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I know you were at the what the diapositive where you was where it was, but I didn't get the grasp of that.
Okay. Well, here we are. It's for gathering information.
Yes.
And it's quite easy. It's imagine that you are all together in a bar drinking coffee, and you ask people, okay, what do you want to talk about?
I see. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm kind of dumb today. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay. Yes.
How much time do you spend to prepare a retro?
That's a good question. It depends on what you're going to do. I usually take about 2 hours to define the structure, to understand what I want to discuss, and to have like a few alternatives to use in the, for example, for this part to generate insights, because maybe you were thinking of doing something like perfection layer. So you would think that the team is doing great, and you're thinking, okay, let's use something of general purpose to see what we can improve, but not related to any specific problem. But here you discover that there is like a huge problem you need to discuss. So maybe you should be prepared to use some of these exercises. And for that, what I do is I review the previous sprint, I review the Jira board, and I take a look at the previous week comments on Slack to see if we are going to have like an issue to discuss, and be prepared for that. Because if I know some things are going to arise of serious problems and things we have to discuss, I would go straight to prepare exercises that aim to fix problems and not to make people talk about what they would like to happen. But that's about it.
Okay, perfect.
Of course, if you're doing the meeting with all the team present, and you're going to be using flipboards, whiteboards, and post-its, that would take time, because you have to prepare the environment actually, and you have to make sure you have markers, post-its, enough chairs, something to eat, and wherever not. But that takes time, of course.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I think that James has a question also.
Yes. I'm just curious to know, once we've gotten to the point where we believe that the sprints are moving along efficiently, where there isn't many issues in the way, what then becomes the focus of the retro?
That's a good question. Maybe things that we could still improve. I don't know. Probably if things are running smoothly and everything seems to be fine, we should start focusing more on stuff that maybe we could do less to have more time, or those kind of things. But that's not something I could tell upfront. That will arise in the retro itself. Maybe you can get an idea before, but those things are going to appear on their own, because if you have been fixing problems, you are going to start finding new ones. That's for sure. But if things are running smoothly, maybe you could focus on things that maybe they are not needed anymore. Maybe you took some actions like 8 sprints before to start doing something to fix a problem, and now you see it's not necessary anymore, and maybe you should discuss not doing that. I don't know, but there are going to be things to change and to improve, and maybe if you're like stuck and you don't see things to change, maybe what you should do is using again some of the, for example, this one, the disabled dynamics, because that will show you if people is still aligned, or people is identifying risk that you haven't seen so far, and maybe this is what you should be discussing. I don't have like a specific answer to that question. That's what I would do with time if everything seems to be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions? I have one, Pablo. like we have an idea to try to maybe help other teams doing retros, and I was wondering if like can someone like you like help in doing a retro without previous knowledge of the project at hand, or maybe like just a briefing and not like being like involved in the day-to-day for the past months or so.
Yes, I believe it could be done. Of course, some kind of knowledge of the project is always necessary to see what's going on and to decide basically what to do. Probably I would suggest talking to the team leader or project manager to have like a sense of what's going on, and with that information decide what to do in the retro. I would probably use one of these general purpose dynamics to understand, they have like a high level vision of what's going on, and start working with the biggest problem that appear. It could be done. Some previous knowledge of the project, I think it's good, because you need to understand the internal dynamics of the team and what's going on. If the team just finished a very, very, very difficult sprint and they barely met the deadline, maybe they are not in the mood for games, and you should, well, I don't know, you should try to understand what's going on in the team and at high level to prepare. But yes, it could be done.
Yeah, thanks. It makes sense. So I think if there isn't any other questions, that was really, really good, Pablo. And thanks everybody. And see you next week.
Okay.
Hey,
Bye.
thank you, Pablo.